homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, today I've got to deal with a varmint problem. This is probably the least favorite thing I like doing on the homestead. My corn is being hit pretty hard by raccoons. Now, normally I plant enough that I don't worry too much about the raccoons, but what they're doing right now is they're taking out about 5 corn stalks a night. And I'll show you what the damage looks like here in just a second. Well, my corn still has 20 days left. 5 corn stalks a night, and they've been doing it for about a week and a half now. So 5 corn stalks at night, they will have taken out 2 rows of my 6 rows of corn before I get to harvest them. So let's take a little trip, and I'm going to show you what raccoon damage looks like. Right here is human damage, and the reason I say that, see this corn stalk is still standing? That's where I plucked an ear of corn and to sample it. But let's go down the row here and let's look at raccoon damage. Right there's raccoon damage. See how the corn stalk's laying on the ground? And here's raccoon damage. Here's what they do. They lay the corn stalk over. They climb up the stalk. They've done it here too. But they climb up the stalk. They get on your corn and will ride it all the way to the ground if there's a couple of them on it. And they eat your cob. They eat the whole thing. That's all the way down to the nub. So they're doing that, if you'll look down through there, to about 5 a day. So, and then there's some over in the center. They're doing the same way. Let me take you over. See there? They're starting to ride some over here. So I've got to put the kibosh to that if I want to have any corn. Now I see now I've got quite a few beans on, which that's good to see. And see, there's quite a bit of corn still, but the coon, see here, they tore a ear right off. See? So let's show you what we're going to do about them. Okay, you saw the damage that they do. What I've got here is something called a have-a-heart trap. It's a cage or a box trap. A lot of companies make them. Have-a-heart was the one that made them when I was a kid, so everything to me is a have-a-heart trap. The way it works is there's a lever, and you pull this up. You pull this door up. Turn you around here. You pull that door up, and then there's a little pan back here. That catches that door. Now, you put bait. Let me pull you over here. You put bait back in this area, and when the raccoon comes in, he steps on this, and it closes the door, and he can't get back out. So, I'm going to go ahead and get these set, and then we'll see what comes of it. I'll wait till in the morning and see if we catch anything. But now raccoons, like us, like cantaloupe. So, got one of our cantaloupe. Our vines are pretty much done. I didn't get a whole lot of cantaloupe this year, just a few. But I've got this one. Now, I didn't waste anything. Crystal and I ate the cantaloupe, okay? All I'm going to use are these cantaloupe rinds. The coons love them. So I'm going to take and just cut 2 or 3 of these. Just cut them into pieces. piece is too big to go through the holes in the wire. Now, I'll just take these, get up there, and put them right back there at the back of the cage. Now, I'll pull the pedal up where it's caught, and I'll set this cage right over here at the beginning of our cornfield. Okay, they've got a little trail right here where they're going in and out, like right in here. So I'm going to take this cage and just set it down right there in their trail. Now I'll take this other piece of cantaloupe and drop it out here and get them the idea where it's at. Give another piece. Now, if you've ever fooled with coons, you'll know that you can't fill them up. So, I'm going to drop a few of these back in there, back toward the pan, so that they'll feel comfortable about going in. So I'm there in the doorway. And that trap's set. Will I get a coon tonight? Well, I might get a coon, but I might not. So now I've set one at this end of the cornfield. Now I'm going to set one at the other end, because I don't know exactly where they're coming from, but let me show you where I think they're coming from. Okay, on my homestead, between fields, I have wide margins, okay? 20 to 40 feet wide for wildlife, squirrels and possums and coons. But when you get too many of them, you got to thin them a little bit. Right here's a trail where they're coming in. Then right here, if you'll look, there is another trail that's pretty well worn. So I'm assuming they're coming in there, but the other side has trails too. So let's go over there, go to the other end of the field, and let's have a look. Okay, here we are at the other end of the field. You'll notice that there's some corn down. There was at the margins, but they're doing it on the interior too, but the corn has a harder time laying over because it's supported by other corn. So, but while we're here, I just thought I'd show you the greasy beans. I love greasy beans. There they are, starting to set on. But you'll notice, whatever it is, whatever they're on, they go to the top of. If there's a weed in there that's taller than the corn, they'll climb it to the top. Okay, I'm going to get this trap set. Okay, there's the second trap. I'll come out early in the morning and see how it did. See, right there's where they've been going in and out. And if I look over here, it looks like there's some places in the field where they've been traveling. I mowed the other day, but they've been traveling pretty hard. So hopefully, I think we've probably got 3 or 4. Okay, if I get it down to 1 coon, I'll be okay with that. You know, he can have a stalk a night, and for the next 20 days, it won't hurt nothing. But when there's 4 or 5 of them, they're eating me out of house and home. So we'll see in the morning if we got anything. Well, here we are. It's the second day from setting the traps. And here is the culprit that's getting my corn. He says that he doesn't want to fool with me. But see here, there's where the trap was. See how he's tore up the ground? They're pretty tough on these traps. But that's the first one. We'll see if we got something in the other trap. Okay, the second trap hadn't been messed with. So got one. So let's, I've already dealt with one coon. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, I got one culprit eating my corn. I figure there's 2 or 3 more, but started with one. That's the way it goes on a homestead. I try and strike a balance with wildlife. I try to plant enough corn that I can share some. You know, if a deer comes through and eats some corn, or a couple of coons eat a little bit of corn, I couldn't stand them to eat up a whole 2 rows of corn out of 6 rows. That's a whole third of my crop. Can't stand that, but I try and strike a balance with livestock. On my fence line rows, I leave 20 to 40 feet for wild animals. I don't practice recreational mowing, okay? I mow for a reason. I mow for hay, or I've got a yard in front of the house, around the house, but I don't just practice recreational mowing. I leave some wild spaces on my homestead for wildlife, and I try and strike a balance. Well, the raccoons and the groundhogs, if you get too many of them, they do what they do. So you have to reduce that population, and that's what I did today. In Kentucky, you're allowed to remove nuisance animals. For deer, you have to get a nuisance permit, but for raccoons and possums and things like that, if they're being a nuisance and tearing your stuff up, it's not required to get a permit to take off nuisance, to get rid of nuisance animals. Now, you can't relocate wildlife, okay? You can't, and it shouldn't be that way. You should have to take care of your own problems on your own homestead and don't put them off on somebody else. You know, you have to be prepared for that. So, you know, I know it's a tough thing to consider. I know it's a tough thing to do, but you have to be prepared to take care of the wildlife on your own property. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself, self-sustainability kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading, prepping, all that stuff. Sometimes 1 video, sometimes 5. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.